Driverly.com, unlimited drama series.
You know that moment when your entire world shifts and you realize you've been living a lie? Mine came on a Tuesday morning while I was fixing the kitchen faucet that had been dripping for 3 weeks. My wife Erica had been too busy with her fitness influencer career to notice the constant ping, ping, ping that was slowly driving me insane. I'm Tom Harlan, 39 years old, owner of Harlan Home Renovations. I've spent the last 15 years building other people's dream homes while my own marriage crumbled like drywall in a flood. The irony wasn't lost on me. Tom, can you move your tools? Chad's coming over for our collaboration video, Erica called from upstairs, her voice carrying that particular tone that meant I was inconveniencing her very important life. Chad DeMarco, personal trainer, Instagram model, and apparently my wife's new favorite person. Over the past 3 months, Chad had become a fixture in our house, always here for some fitness collaboration or brand partnership meeting. The guy had muscles where I didn't even know muscles could exist, and a brain that seemed to have been replaced with protein powder. Sure thing, honey, I replied, wiping grease from my hands. Wouldn't want to interfere with your very professional meeting. My son Jesse looked up from his laptop at the kitchen table. At 14, he'd inherited my sarcastic streak and his mother's ability to see through people's nonsense. Dad, you know Mom's been acting weird lately, right? Define weird, kiddo? Like, she bought new workout clothes 3 times this week, and she keeps giggling at her phone. Mom doesn't giggle. He was right. Erica had always been focused, driven, sometimes cold. Giggling wasn't in her repertoire. Neither was the sudden interest in early morning workouts that started at 6 a.m. and somehow lasted until 10. The front door opened with the particular swagger that announced Chad's arrival. Heavy footsteps, the sound of someone who wanted everyone to know he was there. Babe, I'm here, Chad's voice boomed through the house. Babe. He called my wife Babe. I heard Erica's feet practically dancing down the stairs. Chad, I've been waiting for you. Jesse and I exchanged a look. In the 14 years since Jesse was born, I'd never heard Erica say she'd been waiting for me with that level of enthusiasm. Hey, Tom. Chad appeared in the kitchen doorway, all white teeth and fake tan. How's the renovation business? Still playing with your little tools? There it was, the condescension wrapped in a friendly tone. Chad had perfected the art of making everything sound like a put-down while maintaining plausible deniability. It's good, Chad. Someone has to do the real work while others make videos about squatting. Chad's smile tightened just a fraction. Right. Well, Erica and I have some serious content to create. We're really building something special together. Building something special. With my wife, in my house. I'm sure you are, I said, turning back to the faucet. Just try to keep the noise down. Some of us have actual work to do. After they disappeared upstairs, Jesse leaned over. Dad, I don't like that guy. Join the club, son. But it wasn't just dislike anymore. It was the growing realization that something was seriously wrong with my marriage, and I'd been too busy fixing everyone else's problems to notice my own foundation cracking. That evening, after Chad left and Jesse was in his room, I decided to have a conversation with my wife. Erica was in our bedroom, editing videos on her laptop, wearing one of the new workout outfits Jesse had mentioned. So, I said, sitting on the edge of the bed, Chad seems to be around a lot lately. He's helping me grow my brand, Tom. This is important for our future. Our future? She didn't look up from her screen. My future. Our family's future. Someone has to think about building wealth instead of just maintaining other people's houses. I built this house, I built our life, and I'm building something bigger. The conversation felt like trying to grab smoke. Every time I thought I had a point to make, it slipped away. But that night, lying in bed next to my wife who was texting someone at 11 p.m., I knew something had to give. I just didn't know it would happen so dramatically. The next morning, I was in the garage organizing tools when I found it. A gym bag that definitely wasn't mine, tucked behind some paint cans. Inside were men's workout clothes, protein bars, and a folded piece of paper with Chad's name written in Erica's handwriting. The note was short and devastating. Can't wait for our real life to start. Tom will never see it coming. You make me feel alive again. E. I sat in my garage, holding proof of my wife's affair, and the strangest thing happened. Instead of rage or heartbreak, I felt clarity. Like someone had finally turned on the lights in a room I'd been stumbling through in the dark. My phone buzzed. A text from my best friend Will. "Beer tonight? You sound like you need it." I hadn't told Will anything, but he'd always been perceptive. "Yeah," I texted back, "I definitely need it." That evening at Murphy's Pub, I showed Will the note. He read it twice, then looked at me with the expression of someone who'd just watched a car accident. "Jesus, Tom, how long do you think this has been going on?" "Months, probably. All those early morning workouts, the collaboration videos, the way she lights up when he's around." I took a long drink of beer. "I've been an idiot." "No, you've been a husband. You trusted your wife. That's not being an idiot. That's being normal. So what do I do now?" Will, who'd been through his own messy divorce 3 years earlier, leaned forward. "You get smart, fast. Document everything. Protect yourself. And whatever you do, don't let them know you know until you're ready." "Ready for what?" "Ready to win." I spent the next week in a strange state of hyper-awareness. Every interaction with Erica, every visit from Chad, every giggled phone conversation became evidence in the case I was building against my own marriage. The breaking point came on a Friday evening. I was supposed to be at a job site, but the client had canceled last minute. I came home to find Chad's car in my driveway and the house suspiciously quiet. I let myself in through the back door and heard voices from the living room. "When are you going to tell him?" Chad was saying. "Soon. I just need to figure out the best way to do it. Tom can be difficult." "Babe, you deserve so much better than this. Look at this place. It's like a museum. You're too vibrant, too alive for this boring suburban life." "I know. I've been thinking the same thing. Maybe it's time for a change. A big change." I stood in my own kitchen, listening to my wife and her lover plan my future, and something inside me snapped. Not into rage, but into cold, calculating determination. That weekend, while Erica was at a girls' retreat that I was now certain was actually a romantic getaway, I made some calls. A lawyer, a private investigator, an accountant. If Erica wanted to play games, I was going to make sure I knew all the rules. Monday morning came with a surprise. I was having coffee with Jesse before school when Erica walked into the kitchen with an expression I'd never seen before. Determined, almost excited. "Tom, we need to talk." Jesse looked between us, his teenager radar picking up the tension. "Should I go upstairs?" "No, stay," Erica said. "This affects you too." She reached into her purse and pulled out a manila envelope. "I've filed for divorce." She said it like she was announcing a new business venture. Matter of fact, almost proud. "I see," I said, keeping my voice level. "Any particular reason?" "We've grown apart. We want different things. I need someone who understands my ambitions, who supports my dreams. Someone like Chad." Her cheeks flushed slightly, but she didn't deny it. "Chad and I have developed a connection, yes. He believes in me." Jesse stood up abruptly. "Mom, are you serious right now?" "Jesse, honey, sometimes adults make difficult decisions." "You're cheating on Dad!" Jesse's voice cracked with emotion. "And you're acting like it's some kind of business decision. Your father and I haven't been happy for a long time. Chad makes me feel alive again." I finally spoke. "So, what's the plan, Erica? You and Chad ride off into the sunset?" "Actually," she said, and I could see Chad's influence in her newfound boldness, "Chad's going to move in here. You'll need to find somewhere else to live." The audacity was breathtaking. She was cheating on me, divorcing me, and expecting me to hand over the house I'd built with my own hands. Is that so? It makes the most sense. Jesse needs stability. and this is his home. Chad and I can provide that. Jesse looked at his mother like he'd never seen her before. You want Dad to leave his own house so your boyfriend can move in? Jesse, you'll understand when you're older. I understand now, Mom. I understand that you're being terrible. Erica's composure cracked slightly. Tom, talk to your son. He's being disrespectful. I stood up slowly, looking at my wife, soon to be ex-wife, with new eyes. Jesse's being honest, something you might want to try. Fine, be difficult. But this is happening, Tom. My lawyer says I have a strong case for keeping the house, especially with Jesse being a minor. She dropped the envelope on the table and walked toward the door. Chad will be here this afternoon to start moving his things in. I suggest you start packing. After she left, Jesse and I sat in silence for a long moment. Dad? He finally said. Yeah, kiddo? Are you going to let them do this? I picked up the divorce papers and smiled for the first time in weeks. Not a chance in hell. The thing about being underestimated is that it gives you a tremendous advantage. While Chad and Erica were busy planning their new life in my house, I was busy remembering something they'd apparently forgotten. I'm not just a contractor. I'm a business owner, a veteran, and someone who's spent 20 years solving problems that seemed impossible. My first call was to my lawyer, Janet Morrison. Janet was a bulldog in a business suit, someone who'd helped me navigate the legal maze of starting my business and who understood the value of preparation. Tom, she said after reviewing the papers Erica had served me, I have good news and bad news. Give me the bad news first. Your wife's lawyer is going to argue that she deserves the house because she's the primary caregiver to Jesse and that your income can support you living elsewhere. And the good news? Your wife's lawyer is an idiot. You own this house outright. Your name is on the deed, you built it with your own company, and you have a prenup that specifically protects assets brought into the marriage. We have a prenup? You insisted on it 15 years ago. Smart move, considering her spending habits even then. I'd forgotten about the prenup. It had been Janet's idea, and Erica had signed it without much thought because she'd been focused on planning our wedding, not our potential divorce. So, what does that mean? It means your wife can't just kick you out of your own house and move her boyfriend in. In fact, legally speaking, you could have Chad arrested for trespassing if he tries to move in without your permission. That afternoon, I was waiting in my living room when Chad showed up with a moving truck. Through the window, I watched him direct two guys carrying boxes toward my front door. The sheer audacity was almost admirable. I opened the door before he could knock. Hey, Tom! Chad's smile was blindingly white. Don't worry, we'll be quick. Just moving in some essentials. That's interesting, Chad, because this is my house. Well, technically it's going to be Erica's house, so technically it's my house. My name on the deed, my company that built it, and my legal right to decide who lives here. Chad's smile faltered. Look, man, I don't want any trouble. Erica said you were okay with this. Erica said a lot of things, but here's what I'm saying. You're not moving into my house. Come on, Tom. Don't make this harder than it has to be. I stepped onto the porch, closing the door behind me. The moving guys had stopped what they were doing and were watching our conversation with interest. Chad, let me explain something to you. I spent 8 years in the Army before I became a contractor. I've dealt with insurgents, natural disasters, and contractors who tried to screw me over. You think you're intimidating because you can bench press your body weight? Chad puffed up his chest. I'm not trying to intimidate anyone. I'm just trying to move in with my girlfriend. Your girlfriend is married to me. This is my house. And those guys, I pointed to the movers, are about to be accessories to trespassing if they take one more step toward my door. One of the movers, a guy who looked like he'd dealt with domestic disputes before, stepped forward. Sir, we're going to need to see some paperwork before we move anything else. Smart man, I said. Chad, do you have any legal documentation giving you the right to move into this house? Chad's tan seemed to fade a little. Erica said, Erica doesn't own this house. I do. And I'm telling you to leave. The movers started loading the boxes back into their truck without another word. Chad stood on my driveway looking like a deflated balloon. This isn't over, Tom. You're absolutely right. It's not. That evening, Erica came home to find Chad's belongings back in his car, and me sitting calmly in the living room. reading the newspaper. What did you do? She demanded. I exercised my property rights. Tom, don't be petty. We're trying to make this transition as smooth as possible for everyone. Smooth? You filed for divorce, announced you're in love with another man, and tried to move him into our house while I'm still living here. If that's your definition of smooth, I'd hate to see what you consider rough. Jesse came downstairs, drawn by the raised voices. What's going on? Your father is being difficult, Erica said. He won't let Chad move in. Good, Jesse said simply. Erica turned to our son with an expression of hurt surprise. Jesse, I thought you liked Chad. I don't. He's fake, and he treats Dad like garbage, and he's breaking up our family.
Second Instagram, 47 posts, all of her. You built her a shrine. You posted her on my birthday.
Watch more on Grammarly.com.
Honey, sometimes families change. No, Mom. Sometimes people make selfish choices and try to pretend it's about family. I'd never been more proud of my son. Over the next few days, I watched Erica and Chad try to figure out their next move. They'd clearly expected me to roll over and accept their plan. When that didn't happen, they seemed genuinely confused about how to proceed. Chad started showing up at my job sites, trying to catch me alone. His approach was always the same: fake friendliness, followed by thinly veiled threats. Tom, buddy, we need to work this out, he said on Thursday, appearing at a kitchen renovation I was overseeing. Erica's really stressed about this whole situation. I imagine she is. Adultery and divorce can be stressful. Look, I know this is awkward, but we're all adults here. Can't we figure out a way to make this work for everyone? My crew had stopped working and were listening with barely concealed interest. Word travels fast in the construction world, and everyone knew about my situation. Chad, let me ask you something. If you were married and your wife decided she wanted to divorce you and move another man into your house, how would you handle it? I'd want everyone to be happy. Really? You'd just pack up and leave so your wife and her boyfriend could be comfortable? Chad's jaw tightened. I'm trying to be reasonable here. No, you're trying to manipulate me into making your life easier. There's a difference. My foreman, a guy named Pete, who'd worked with me for 10 years, stepped forward. Is there a problem here, Tom? No problem, Pete. Chad was just leaving. Chad looked around at the 5 guys staring at him with expressions that weren't particularly friendly. Construction workers tend to have strong opinions about men who steal other men's wives. This isn't over, Chad said, echoing his words from earlier in the week. You keep saying that, I replied, but you never seem to do anything about it. That weekend, Erica escalated. She threw a party, she called it a housewarming, and invited half the neighborhood. The invitation, which I saw on Facebook, described it as celebrating new beginnings in a beautiful home. My home, that I built, that she was using to celebrate leaving me. I spent Saturday at Will's house, helping him install new cabinets and trying not to think about the party happening in my backyard. But around 8 p.m., my neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, called. Tom, honey, I think you should know what's happening over there. I'd rather not know, Mrs. Patterson. Chad is telling everyone that he bought the house from you. He's giving tours like he owns the place. That did it. I drove home to find my driveway full of cars and my backyard full of people I barely knew, drinking my beer and eating food prepared in my kitchen. Chad was holding court by the pool I'd installed 3 years ago, regaling a group of neighbors with what appeared to be a fictional account of his real estate prowess. I walked through my own house like a ghost at his own funeral. People I'd known for years avoided eye contact. Some seemed embarrassed to be there. Others looked at me with pity. In the kitchen, I found Erica arranging appetizers on plates I'd bought for our 10th anniversary. Having fun? I asked. She jumped slightly. Tom, I didn't know you were here. It's my house. I know this is awkward, but I thought it would be good for people to meet Chad, to see that this transition doesn't have to be ugly. Transition to what exactly? To our new life. Chad and I are building something beautiful together. Through the window, I could see Chad demonstrating his golf swing to a group of impressed neighbors. He caught sight of me and raised his beer bottle in a mock toast. Erica, I said quietly, do you have any idea what you're doing to Jesse? Jesse will adjust. Kids are resilient. Jesse thinks his mother has lost her mind. Jesse will understand when he's older that sometimes you have to take risks to be happy. I looked at my wife, really looked at her, and realized I was talking to a stranger. The woman I'd married, the mother of my child, had been replaced by someone I didn't recognize. I'm going to ask you once to end this party. Tom, don't make a scene. These are our neighbors. They're my neighbors. This is my house, and I'm asking you to end this party. And if I don't, then I'll end it myself. Erica studied my face and apparently decided I wasn't bluffing. Fine, but you're being unreasonable. I watched from the kitchen window as Erica made excuses, and Chad played the gracious host, apologizing for the family drama, while making it clear that he was the reasonable one in this situation. After the last guest left, Chad cornered me in the living room. That was pretty embarrassing, Tom, for all of us. You know what's embarrassing, Chad? A grown man who moves in on another man's wife and then acts like the victim when the husband objects. I didn't move in on anyone. Erica came to me because you made yourself available. Look, I get that you're hurt, but Erica deserves to be happy. She deserves someone who appreciates her. Someone like you? Someone like me? I nodded slowly. Chad, let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to leave my house. You're going to stop pretending you live here. And you're going to learn what it means to cross someone who's tired of being pushed around. Chad stepped closer, trying to use his height advantage. Is that a threat? It's a promise. The next morning, I woke up with absolute clarity about what I needed to do. Erica and Chad had made their choice. Now it was time for me to make mine. Monday morning brought the kind of rain that makes the Pacific Northwest famous. I was drinking coffee and watching the water run down my kitchen window when my phone rang. Janet, my lawyer. Tom, we need to talk. Erica's attorney filed a motion for temporary exclusive use of the marital home. What does that mean? It means they're trying to get a judge to order you out of your own house while the divorce is pending. I felt that familiar surge of cold anger. Can they do that? They can try. But Tom, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Have you threatened your wife or Chad in any way? I told Chad he wasn't welcome in my house. I told him there would be consequences if he kept pushing. Why? Because they're claiming you're creating a hostile environment and that Erica feels unsafe. The coffee suddenly tasted bitter. Janet, the only thing I've done is refuse to let my wife's boyfriend move into my house. I believe you, but we need to be smart about this. No more confrontations, no more threats, even implied ones, and Tom lied. You might want to install some security cameras. Why? Because if they're willing to lie about feeling unsafe, they might be willing to create evidence to support their lies. That afternoon, I drove to the electronics store and bought a complete home security system. Cameras for every entrance, motion detectors, the works. If Erica and Chad wanted to play games, I was going to make sure I had video evidence of everything that happened. Jesse helped me install the system that evening. My son had inherited my technical aptitude and his mother's attention to detail. Dad, why are we putting cameras inside the house? Because your mother and Chad might try to do something stupid, and I want to be able to prove what really happened. Like what? Like claiming I did something I didn't do. Jesse was quiet for a moment, programming one of the cameras. Mom's really changed, hasn't she? Yeah, kiddo, she has. Do you think she'll change back? I wished I could give him false hope, but Jesse was too smart for that. I don't think so, son. I think this is who your mother really is, and we just didn't see it before. The cameras proved their worth sooner than I expected. Wednesday evening, I was at a client meeting when my phone buzzed with a security alert. Someone was at my front door. I opened the app and watched Chad trying to jimmy the lock with what looked like a credit card. When that didn't work, he walked around to the back of the house and tried the sliding door. I called the police. 911, what's your emergency? I'd like to report a break-in in progress. I have video of someone trying to enter my house without permission. 20 minutes later, I pulled into my driveway behind 2 police cars. Chad was sitting on my front steps, talking animatedly to one of the officers. Mr. Harlan, The senior officer, a woman named Sergeant Martinez, approached me. This gentleman says he has permission to be here. He doesn't. This is my house, and I've told him repeatedly that he's not welcome. He says he's in a relationship with your wife, and that she gave him permission. My wife doesn't own this house. I do. And even if she did, she can't give someone permission to break in when the owner isn't home. I showed Sergeant Martinez the security footage on my phone. Chad trying the front door, then the back door, then attempting to force a window. "Mr. DeMarco," she called to Chad, "can you explain this?" Chad's confident demeanor cracked slightly. "Look, there was a misunderstanding. Erica said I could get some things I left here. By breaking in? I wasn't breaking in. I was just trying to get inside. Without the owner's permission. Using force on locked doors and windows." I could see Chad realizing that his charm wasn't going to work on Sergeant Martinez. "Mr. Harlan," she said, "do you want to press charges?" I looked at Chad, sitting on my steps in handcuffs, and made a decision that would change everything. "Yes, I do." Chad's arrest made the local news. Not because it was particularly newsworthy, but because it was a slow news day and local personal trainer arrested for attempted break-in was more interesting than the usual city council meetings and school board updates. Erica was furious. "Tom, how could you do this? Chad was just trying to get his gym bag. Chad was breaking into my house. There's a difference. You're being vindictive. I'm protecting my property. He's going to lose clients over this. His reputation is ruined. Maybe he should have thought about that before he tried to break into someone's house. But the arrest had consequences I hadn't anticipated. Within days, it seemed like half the town knew about my situation. The story had legs because people love drama, and a love triangle involving a personal trainer, a fitness influencer, and a wronged husband was better than anything on television. My business phone started ringing with calls from potential clients who'd heard about the situation. Some were supportive, others were just curious. But all of them wanted to hire the contractor who'd stood up to his wife's boyfriend. Chad's gym, on the other hand, started losing members. Parents didn't want their teenage daughters training with someone who'd been arrested for breaking and entering, regardless of the circumstances. The shift in public opinion was swift and brutal. Erica's social media followers began turning on her. Comments on her posts went from supportive to savage. Cheating on your husband and then playing victim? Classy. Your husband built that house and you're trying to give it to your boyfriend? Disgusting. Team Tom all the way. You're getting what you deserve. Erica tried to control the narrative by posting a long explanation about growing apart and finding happiness. But it only made things worse. People could smell the self-serving nonsense from miles away. Chad, meanwhile, was dealing with his own problems. The arrest had triggered a background check by his gym, which discovered he'd been inflating his credentials. He wasn't a certified personal trainer. He'd been faking his certification for 2 years. The gym fired him immediately. "Tom," Will said over beers that Friday, "I have to hand it to you. You've managed to destroy both of them without breaking a sweat." "I didn't destroy them. They destroyed themselves. I just refused to be a victim." Chad's living in his car, you know. Apparently he was staying with Erica at some extended stay hotel. But they can't afford it anymore since he lost his job. And Erica? Still posting inspirational quotes about staying strong during difficult times and not letting negative people bring you down. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. The divorce proceedings were moving faster than expected. Janet had filed a countersuit demanding that Erica pay me alimony, since her affair had caused the breakdown of the marriage. It was a long shot, but it sent a message. "Tom," Janet said during our meeting the following week, "Erica's lawyer wants to settle. What are they offering? She keeps her car, her personal belongings, and half of your retirement account. You keep the house, the business, and primary custody of Jesse. What about alimony? She waives any claim to spousal support, and you waive your claim against her." It was a better deal than I'd expected. What's the catch? No catch. I think they realize they've lost control of the situation. Chad's arrest, the public humiliation, losing his job. It's all spiraled beyond what they expected. And Jesse? Jesse told the court-appointed guardian that he wants to live with you. Apparently, he told the woman that his mother made bad choices and hurt people, and that he didn't want to be around Chad. That evening, I sat Jesse down for a serious conversation. Son, your mom and I are going to finalize the divorce soon. The court says you can choose who you want to live with. I want to stay with you, Dad. Are you sure? This is a big decision. Mom chose Chad over us. You chose us over everything else. It's not even close. 2 weeks later, I signed the divorce papers in Janet's office. Erica wasn't there. Her lawyer said she was too emotional to attend. Chad wasn't mentioned in the final agreement at all, as if he'd never existed. Walking out of that office, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Peace. But the story wasn't over yet. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, I thought the drama was behind me. I was wrong. It started with a phone call from my neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, on a Saturday morning in late October. Tom, honey, I think you should know that Erica and Chad are back. I looked out my kitchen window and saw a familiar car parked across the street. Back how? They're renting the Morrison place, the little rental house at